Mr. Edwin, let's now come back on Mo Ibrahim Foundation and one campaign. Okay. How can you assess Mo Ibrahim Foundation on governance and accountability?
Okay. So key things.
Yes.
It's important to us to understand. It's important to understand that there is no comprehensive assessment of governance in Africa like the one we've seen with the Mo Ibrahim Foundation, where they have taken different pillars of governance and they have analyzed how countries are performing across many indicators. And this is African driven, and this is why it is so significant. Right. Now, there are people who have issues with the fact that do you need to incentivize good governance in leaders by providing money to people, to presidents when they finish, right? Some people have that. People call it, are you going to bribe leaders to be able to become good leaders? So they're looking at it that way. But I have a different perspective. And my perspective is that providing this incentive to say that, look, you don't have to be thinking of yourself when you are a leader in Africa. You should be thinking about the people. And that if you think about the people, there is something like a reward for you when you are out to say you'll be taken care of. Okay? That kind of assurance may not have been the policy, may not have been, so open before now. But one of the things that the Mo Ibrahim Award does is to create a system where African leaders, when they are leaders, they will focus on the people than on themselves. And I think that is something we should celebrate. Now, for this year, they are focused on the public service, the African public service. You will understand here that even if you're a political leader and you want to do the best for your people, the only way you can deliver your service is through the public service, people that you employ in government, right? So if the public service is not functional, all your ideas, all your ambitions, all the love you have for your people and the things you want to do cannot be delivered. Because the civil servants are the ones that are going to write the contracts. They're the ones that are going to provide the services. They're the ones that are going to make sure that people who are supposed to do the right things do the right thing. They're going to make sure that the policies are implemented. So if you don't structure the public service in a way that makes it efficient, that makes it really professional, that roots out corruption, you can only try as a leader, but not much will be delivered. And that is why the focus this year is on public service, and I think it's the right thing to focus on right now. Because if you can get the public service right, then you are able to see that your governance structure, the governance ideas and the ideologies that you want to bring for your people, will actually be translated into real action. And that is why I think it is the right thing to discuss at this point in time, with the Mo Ibrahim weekend.
Okay, thank you. And how do you think about the winner to 2018?
For me, I think, people have different perspectives, but I think there was a very transparent and comprehensive process of determining who the winner is. It is not, it's not because Sir Ellen Saliv is a friend of Mo, right? It's not by personal contact or connections. It's about what the records show. And I think that is as transparent as it can be, and I'm really glad to say that at least for the first woman African leader who went through her term. There have been some African women leaders, right? But she went through her tenure, 2 tenures in Liberia, to come out unscathed, to come out rewarded like this. I think it is something we should celebrate.
But about Liberia and the regime of Salif, how can you assess her regime up to now? Then determine whether she's the best winner of 2018 from the beginning to the end of her regime.
Okay, so I would tell you this. This is my personal opinion.
Yes.
My opinion right now, whether it's personal or it's public, does not really count because it is what the facts say.
Yes.
What are the records, right? And all of these things have been put together before they came to this conclusion, right? And I would tell you that there's real integrity in the process of selecting her. There are many people who have different views, and I can tell you, there is no government. Even right now in Rwanda, people have different views of Paul Kagame. Right? Any president you see, people have different views. But the question is, what does the record say? The records. What does the record? What are the facts that are on the ground? What can you point to? So those for me are the things that matter. So the way I feel, I may not like her person, but It doesn't matter.
Yes.
It is what does the record say. And that is what I think is the driver, and we should all focus on. We should not focus on what people think or what people say, but what does the record say.
Yeah. Can you enumerate 3 or 5 points about Liberia under Serif?
Okay, I would say, I may not say 3 or 5, but all I would tell you is that the Liberia that Ellen Sirleaf met when she became the leader is not the same Liberia she left when she left. 2 reasons. Liberia went through a devastating period of Ebola. Right? Ebola, yes, that could have been disastrous. Right? Liberia has been through so much in the past in terms of civil war and all of those things, and it's coming out of the ashes, right? Somebody stepping in at that period to try and stabilize the institutions. So this is the important thing. It's not about personality. It's about which institutions are working. And in my opinion, I think the institutions are stronger by the time Sirleaf was leaving than they are when she got in there, right? So it has provided enough, basis or pillar for anybody who is coming on to build on, right? I wouldn't say she's perfect. There might be 1 or 2 mistakes that she's made or that people have made, but that is because we're human beings, right? But the question is that what are the institutions that are in place now? How are they functioning? Can they be improved on? And this is what we should be thinking about going forward.
Okay. So now, Edwin, you are from one campaign, right?
Yes.
And what is the relationship between one campaign and Mo Ibrahim in fight against poverty? Okay, so 2 things. One campaign exists to end poverty, preventable disease and poverty, especially in Africa. That's why we exist. And in order to do this, there are many things that we put our hands in. First of all is to mobilize resources, because there is no way you can end poverty without resources. Right. So mobilizing resources, one campaign has been working in the global north, for a very long time, to mobilize resources from the north so that ODA or aid coming to Africa is not shortchanged, so that it is not reduced. We are fighting every day to make sure that the poorest people get the resources that they need to survive. That is one. On the other side, and this is where governance comes inside, is that when we look into the continent itself and we see what the resources that are available, we ask ourselves, how can these resources be better used so that it affects the poorest people? And this is where governance comes in. So if you do not manage the resources in the right way, there will be a lot of waste, right? There will be a lot of corruption and stealing. There will be a lot of things that will not allow the poor people who need these services to get what they get. And this is where you see when Mo Ibrahim is dealing with governance, we are also dealing with the whole issue of resource governance. So that when people say they are working for the poor, right, they need to use the resources that are available in the right way without leakages, to make sure that the poorest people get the best services. And this is where we come in. So while we are mobilizing resources from the north, we're asking African leaders that are providing resources to say, make sure you are applying the resources on the right things that affect the poorest people. For instance, we talk about the health of people. No matter how rich you are, if you become sick, right, you will spend all your money to get well. Now imagine poor people who don't even have enough resources, right? When they become sick, their money is finished. Any little thing they have, they will spend it in order to get well. So we are saying that the government of African leaders should put money in the health sector so that people don't have to spend out of their pocket in order to get well when they become sick, right? We talk about education. So because there's no way you can get out of poverty if you do not know anything, right? So we push for resources to be put into education, especially girls' education. For instance, your kids will not be sick if the parents are educated. They know how to prevent all kinds of sicknesses, right? So we talk about girls' education. We talk about women empowerment. Because you see, we have a campaign called Poverty is Sexist, where we're saying that the face of poverty is like a woman face. Because most of the poor people that are poor are women. The reason, for instance, if I have a wife, if I am poor, you can imagine that my wife is poorer, right? Why? Because maybe I earn more resources generally than my wife. So we're trying to say, bring those women into the equation, make them the front and center of development. So these are the kind of policies that we are pursuing in One Africa, in one campaign, to ensure that resources are available for those who need it the most, and they are used without waste, and there's no corruption. So this is where you see we connect with Mo Ibrahim Foundation and the governance system. Okay, thank you.